Cheap, cheap, cheap. Cheap, cheap, cheap.
I had no idea you could grow hops directly on the beach. And such neat rows of it too. Beat the heat with briny beer. Now even more sustainable. We reuse the cans that people leave on the shore. Welcome to this beautiful world seemingly made up of an infinite amount of islands and island clusters. People may have lived here before, but now that's irrelevant. We have to try and build towns on these limited amounts of land, at the mercy of the shape of the island. The terrain impedes our choices. How are they going to move all that food down to the town? Probably just throw bags of it over the edge? But that will make it a bit smashy. Maybe a sloped food aqueduct, a Cheapness duct. All of the levels are procedurally generated, with some features reoccurring, but oft used in different ways. Sure, some of the levels may look familiar, but I don't think they're ever the same. Sometimes your islands give you a great deal of space, plenty of room, and other times you have to get creative. But it's not just about finding a place to fit something. There's also a point system. Everything you place has a base points total, as well as a list of structures that can give added bonus points if they're in the sphere of influence when you place it. Some can actually make you earn fewer points. Apparently, rich people hate the circus, yet they're fine with their heavy and presumably expensive mansions being built on some rickety-looking wooden terraces, complete with holes. Although this game seems to take place in a time period where having one of those in your house would be considered a luxury. You have to make the most out of the space you have, and that's where things get puzzly. Structures have different sized spheres of influence, and their lists differ when it comes to what they like and don't like. Hooray for town planning. Thinking ahead for ideal placement. For instance, some things are best clustered together, such as houses and mansions. And to add to the puzzle nature, each one of those you place is randomly set to one of 3 shapes. See, there's the L shape, there's the block made up of 4 squares. Okay, sure, this one only has 3 squares. But see there, that plateau is the ultimate Tetris shape. Tetrisy. Except here we're dealing in the permanence of building a city. There's no way to erase poor placement. So ideally try and have some foresight, as difficult as that can be, trying to remember all the things all the structures hate and like, spacing them out accordingly, leaving room for future stuff, or maybe even remembering the approximate size of at least a few of the big ticket items, the temple especially, and then actually leaving a space open for it long enough that you get one of those structures to place. If you want to go for a late game windfall, if the island has a limited amount of fertile land, try and place everything that doesn't need it on stone or sand. Keep some trees around if you think you're gonna go into lumber or nature conservation. And keep the flowers if you want a massive points total for placing a shaman. Place plateaus to create more land, sometimes in really cool unpleasing ways, sometimes in very cramped ways, ways that have an adverse effect on property values. But hey, if you want to build a fantasy megacity, you're gonna have to pay the price. Or have your citizens pay that price by never seeing the sun again. If your placement is good enough, you'll earn enough points to fill up the circle and choose from a selection of building packs. And your points also fill up your island gauge. Once that's full, you can move on to the next island or stay here. Plod about. Try and improve your score until you fail to fill up a circle and have no more buildings left to place. And then you can move on to the next island. If your island gauge isn't full and you've run out of buildings, then that's game over and your score is tallied, etching you into history. And what do you do on the next island? The same as on the previous one. You continue for as long as you can until you run out of buildings, or until you're sated. So the game is kind of an arcadey score chaser, except it has a focus on relaxation that would have been out of place in an arcade, the casino for minors, making this relaxing tune almost impossible to hear. And for this soft, mystical hum, it would have been even worse. What it requires is peace and all the time in the world to place and think. Just you and your lovely small town. No humans, at most birds. very simple birds, and no campaign. It's either a casual go or a serious attempt at improving that score, usually through urban sprawl. Light or hardcore, depending on your taste. You have to admit it's unique for the city building genre. But that uniqueness, the arcadey score chase element, means it's probably not going to hold your attention for long. The amount of time you will concurrently play it hinges on how badly you want that high score, or just how much you need to mellow out. But that does encourage us to play it as an in-between game. Drop in and out, something to decompress with. No story, no distraction, just efficient placement. It's really effective as an in-between game. I mean, I haven't played it in a while, but when I recently tested it on the Warhorse, I got sucked in, and played for almost an hour. Completed 2 islands. The only distraction this game has is admiring your work. A color-accented megacity trapped on an island can be a bit distracting. Lovely to look at, unless of course you really stuffed it to the brim. In that case it might be nightmarish. The visuals are nice, white and brown and purple, angular and polygonal, even the nature, with very little steepness or gradual change in level. To keep things nice and smooth, flat surfaces with very little texture. It's simple but it works. Just look at these ancient terraces. The game almost has a contrasting color palette. Grayish-black stone, contrasting with sand, green grass, sometimes blue, with mostly white buildings placed on top, with a multitude of possible roof colors. Can be as basic as brown, but not afraid to go almost shockingly pink, or lime green. Dark cliffs and living grass, contrasting with the artificial white stonework. And the beach. The game's tagline is a minimalist city builder, and I guess that's fair enough, there's not that much detail. The first time I played this game, I believe I played for 2 hours, maybe 4, at which point I decided to stop playing. But, as mentioned, this game does rather shine as an in-between game. And since then I've altogether played more than 7 hours. 8 if you include the test run on the Warhorse, so the game time may be quite variable among us. I mean, some people played it a lot more than I did, judging from the massive cities they built on sandbox mode. For those of you with a thing for symmetry. But I'm gonna use 8 hours as my total, because all the other hours were fun. And I suppose the game is cheap on Steam, 52 Rand full price, and I have seen it go on sale for 26 Rand. Unfortunately, during the 2022 summer sale, it just wasn't on sale, and thus I put the sale price in red. So for me that was 3 Rand 25 per hour of gameplay, which is pretty good, although getting it while it's not on sale can be a bit problematic, because doubling the price per hour isn't great, at almost 7 Rand per hour. And this is all assuming you play as much as I did. A lot of you won't. It is essentially a score chaser. Some definitely will. If you're the kind of person that plays Minesweeper in your downtime, here's a prettier change of pace. So please bear all these things in mind before you buy it. And at least it has a small download size, as it takes up 145 megabytes on the hard drive. And it does work on the Warhorse surprisingly badly. The cloud transition screen sticks around for quite a bit of time, a long load between islands. And it's surprisingly laggy. But as mentioned, during the Warhorse test I got sidetracked in spite of the lag. The offered gameplay was still fun in those conditions. So yes, you will need something stronger than the Warhorse to play this properly without lag, but I honestly would not begrudge anyone playing this game in such a laggy state. I mean, it's not exactly a game where responsiveness is key. It's a slow and relaxing puzzler. Once again, for emphasis, I played for almost an hour again. And lastly, it's very kid-friendly. It doesn't have anything in it I would consider objectionable. Just islands and buildings and birds that remind me of napkin swans. The game has a really calming and relaxing atmosphere and gameplay, and the City Builder Score Chaser gameplay is quite unique, and it can be as casual or precise as you want it to be, as it is quite arcadey, and its purpose is quite unique as well. Even successful cities are disposable. The game is mechanically sound, and the plateaus give really cool building options, and the visuals are pretty. Small dioramas of islands. Minimalist in design, very polygonal, although some people may find the light and dark contrast a bit grating at times, and others may find the minimalist design more unobjectionable than good. On the maybe side, the story has no story, absolutely none. And also, as mentioned quite a few times, the game is a score chaser. It has no campaign, and the appeal rests mainly in how badly you want a higher score, or just how badly you need to relax. Come on, play it. It will calm you down. It's a masterclass in relaxation, although I must make this fit somewhere. Actually, this lack of room is getting a tad stressful. Calm me down, birdsong.
Cheap, cheap, cheap. Cheap, cheap, cheap.